Haven't had enough of me yet, huh? Well, this is Monday. You know, I don't work until, well, I don't actually physically work till 6 o'clock tonight. But I have to get there around 5, 4:30, somewhere, well, about 5, to get all set up for class. But anyways, I just was hoping you liked what I've just shared with you, and I just wanted to chat with you a second again on, of course, all things having to do with the Bible. And let's see here. What I wanted to chat with you about was Kemet. Kemet. This is a word. This is what Egypt is called. Let's see. Cities. Kemet. Is that what the word is? Yeah. Kemet. Kemet. This means black. And if you can remember, when we work on our worlds, the first world, the kingdoms, those 4 kingdoms that we talk about, that first kingdom, it represents the conscious mind, the king, the queen, and all this you. This is that first circle, that first world, the first kingdom is you. It's about your consciousness, your life, your mind, your world. Your world. All right? And what happens is the stories about of God bringing us out of the dark or out of Egypt. It's this very idea that Egypt is hell. All right, we know that it is a place of bondage. And in our scriptures, we find that God wants to pull us out from it. He doesn't want us to be in this bondage to this lower mind. He wants us to chop us out, cut away from this, cut away from this. But you have to do it. You have to cut away from it. You know, Jesus, all these guys, they can pull on us all they want, but unless we let go, it ain't going to happen. So you'll find that in those 4 worlds, those kingdoms that we talk about, the 4 that we use to dissect the word, the very first word, the very first world is black, represents the color black. And the second world is red. And then the third is pale or bruised colors. And the 4th one is white. And so we have black and white. So what we have is sunrise over on the white, sunset over here, black. So it's the same situation where, you know, the people that camped by Judah, camped by the rising sun, they're on the east side of things. And those people, like you and me or everybody on earth, you know, on this idea, the lower mind, the west side are working off the dark side. This is the darker side. And yes, because it's our intellect that we leave in charge. Because that's what it is. The intellect, it's our side. This lower conscious. We allow our lower mind to take over and have a ball. So this is being in the black, right? And this is just, and you're supposed to be this black person. You're supposed to be this black person for a good long time. And this isn't a racial situation, but in our Bibles, we'll find that this is where the trouble comes from, because it's the black that has to serve the white. In the long run, we're trying to change our thoughts and things from the Western way of thinking to an Eastern way of thinking. So we're trying to take the black in us and we're trying to serve the white in us. And so you'll find that that makes the black person out to be the slave. It's the person that's in the situation, in this lower mind situation. All of us are slaves. It doesn't even matter if you're black or white, but it just so happens in spiritual speaking, because the color black shows up here, it's terrible. All right, it's just ruins it for a bunch of people. Literally, when God's people are literal, that is. But you'll find that this is what God brings us out of. He brings us out of Egypt. He brings us out of the land of the black. And this is the land, the land of, you will just have to recognize that earth is, well, maybe it's happy for a lot of people in some ways, but it sure ain't heaven, you guys. You know, the heaven and the earth that they're talking about is that you can raise your mind up above the shit around you, get out of beta conscious, lift yourself out of hell, and get away from these troubles, get out of the head pit, it won't hurt no more. You won't be so scared no more, and all this. You'll be building your life and your world on rock, on stone, making stronger, having a better life. All this business is all by, honoring mother and father and getting all this stuff accomplished. But you'll find it's really about this seed being planted in us, and that it has to grow. And in order for it to grow in this situation, it's in a waiting mode, because it's been taken away from us, our seed. And while we're running around, it's picking up things. It's just looked at as being dead, as well as you are being dead. So this is the darkness inside of us and darkness on the outside of us. And that all of it is, no matter how great you're doing or how bad you're doing, it's all serving hell, and it's serving serving God. Some weird, strange way, He's got us coming and going. And so, the point of the matter is that when we can pull ourselves up out of this hell with God's help, do we now have a light that shines inside of us, and things are on the brighter side of life, and we become an influence, because this light is this idea that with this light, there's this greater influence that's being used. Like when the moon stops shining her light, she no longer can affect you. But if you now have your light now affecting other people, you have something where something about you is affecting in positive ways other people. And I would say maybe not always in positive ways. There's some things that make people really mad. And so this effect also, is a part of this God thing, the yin and the yang, that, that you're both yin and yang. You're both, instead of just being one bastard. Now you get a chance to, apologize for it, I guess. But no, let's not get all confused and crazy about this. But the idea is that this is the darkness that God wants to pull us out of. And this idea that it's our child that has to do this, that we have to send our child to go and get us out of this mess, it's a beautiful thing. First, you have to even recognize that He's even there, and then send Him on this mission. And so that helps you to understand that who the Father is of the child, the only begotten Son of God. And you're God. And you only have one soul. And so you one day will betray yourself, betray the flesh. I said, I'm going to go, and I am going to betray the flesh. You're going to betray Jesus, the fleshy side of Jesus. You say, Jesus, I don't think that you ever existed before. And it's like, oh, really? And you want to say, Father, I've had enough of you. I've had enough of you. I'm going to come against you, and I'm going to take you out. Oh, really? And so this is the mind talking. Won't shut up. Won't shut up. Knock, knock, knock. Keep it up. Keep it up. Well, just like with Buddha, When he sits underneath that tree, same thing's going on. Mara's out there saying, hey, what do you think? What do you think you can find all the answers just by sitting underneath that tree? Huh? Do you think it's just going to fall in your lap like a ripe fig and all that, you know? I've said this several times. And he just ignores him. And by ignoring him, by putting him to sleep, put him away, does knowledge fall right into your lap, you know? And so, you know, it's just like having a great idea now. Oh, wow. Whoa. Wow, I just had the greatest idea, you know? So, yeah, these things come from ether. They come from being connected to God. You know, you can still have all kinds of connections. You're connected all the time. But it's nice to have this other connection, this counsel that God asks, that prescribes us, you know. So if we ever have any trouble, we just come up and see Him. And it's a direct connection. It's already there, you know. One day we'll talk about that part too, you know, because I'm getting more of a grasp of it. But by actually listening to what other people think about it, you know, it's starting to push me in directions that I can understand how we're supposed to act, you know. Just what is it? You know, since we don't have prophet school, we don't have some place to go for the elect. That's what they call you if you make it over to the other side. You're part of the elect. And it's not like the elect is trying to hide in the cracks and the cranny, you know, to hide from the wrath and stuff like that. No, they talk about the elect as being, you know, that they'll be fooling everyone. That if it were possible, that even the elect would be fooled. But the thing is that when you learn about the lies and how things work, you can't fall for these lies anymore. You've been, you know, it's part of the effects. It's part of that something that you get from the moon, that light. And besides, you know, you also had all the stars of heaven fall to the earth, which means I'm not connected to all of those things that were once separated from me. And people like me will find that with this information, there's not going to be much foolery going on anymore. You know, it's just not in the ball game. It's not part of the piece. You know, the piece. So Jesus wants to take us out of our graves. There's a dark place once from death, and God takes us out of bondage. Takes us out of Egypt, brings us out of being somebody's labor, something like that. And we find that that's what we're doing. Our part of our trespasses is servitude, is that we had to serve. We had to do God's deed first. And that is to do whatever Father tells us to do, you know, whatever it is. And for those young, and that we should do these things while we're in our youth. Do this now. Do this. And our youth could be long times. But that's the stories that we're getting from our Bible. So we got to do this first. We got things, God has things for us. We got jobs for us to do. Ain't nothing going to get done on this earth. A bunch of people sitting around idle. All right? And if that could ring a bell in you, is the idea that the outside world says this to these people, to the Jewish people. It says, you know, you're all sitting around idle. Everyone's sitting around idle. That means they're sitting around still. You know, you're not doing anything by doing all this meditation and sitting still. All right. So, but yeah. But it's only a one-time trip once you get there. But if you got to do it every day, every moment, every Sunday, you got to keep refilled. And that means something ain't connected. Something ain't working right. Because it's only supposed to be one time. And that's it. And you're lifted from the darkness. You're lifted out of the black. And you're given a white garment to wear. That's all that means. All right? Check you later. Hope you got something out of this.